Did ChatGPT just help me figure this case out? Let me show you something. Do not scroll away. I had ChatGPT design this diagram below. And what the diagram shows you is the void between these four people right here. You see, all five people. There's a void. Everybody's avoiding something on the floor right there. Why are they not? That's the largest space on the entire boat. Why is nobody standing in the biggest area of the boat? Why is everybody off to the side? If you look at the diagram, the red part shows Nolan's body. And if you look at the dude in the back, in the orange, I asked Google to tell me where that bilge pump is. And that's what he's doing in the back. He's over there messing with that bilge pump. And Wyatt right here is on the phone. Now listen to what I learned. Now, when Wyatt was on that phone call with the CETO company on the distress call, he says that the lady asked him, what is your GPS coordinates? Wyatt says, let me go look. So he had to have been over here with all the commotion going on while he's over here messing with that bilge pump. Wyatt was over here and he left from over here to go over here to check the coordinates. As you can see, he's on the phone right there where the coordinates is. And if you look at the diagram, you can literally see where Nolan's body could possibly be in this picture where you can't see it. Because I had them tell me what all of this means, what the space is called, and everything. So that space definitely can hold Nolan's body. And as you can see here, what the fuck are they avoiding? Why are they not standing right there? They're avoiding something. There's a whole void in between all these people. And that diagram shows you what's really going on in this picture.
All right, so now at this point, I am pretty sure that the Triton was there all day. They didn't switch out the boats. And I'm also pretty certain at this point that this is a real video because there's one single frame where you can see Bart's boat and you can also see the toes of somebody like dangling them off the water. So if the picture or video were AI, it would be a really bizarre thing for it to just kind of throw in. But there's zero question in my mind that this video has been altered. So then the question becomes, why would they alter this video? And the only thing that logically makes sense to me is to alter the identity of the two girls. Because if Carter is the boy in red, Wyatt is the boy in the American shorts, Bart's brother Brooke being the one in the navy blue shorts, and then Ike being the one in the teal shorts. Then we've got Warren up here with somebody in this red striped swimsuit and the girl in the teal swimsuit with the backwards hat. So in this picture, this would be Brooks, this would be Ike, this would be Wyatt, this would be Warren, which would leave this to be Carter. And whoever this is seems to be very cuddly with Carter. Like too cuddly, in my opinion, for it to be like a mother or a family member. Thinking about it a lot from the timeline that we have been told. And what we haven't really been factoring in again is the party. Because remember, Warren said he went to the party, but instead of talking with all of his friends, he went upstairs to go talk with his girlfriend's dad. Now those families are tight. So if that dad of Ava, if that conversation with the dad didn't happen, then they would automatically know that they were lying. So I've been saying for a while that the girl was somehow involved. And mind you, everybody's back on land now. They're getting ready to do the fireworks and everybody's swimming and drinking still, blah, blah, blah. So what's the excuse for no pictures at that party? They've explained it all away during the day, but at this point, they're all just being teenagers and having fun again, right? So I'm thinking that the brunette girl is Ava, the girl whose house they went to. And she's pretty close with Warren and the Pyrone family.
And they're full speed running. And then after that, I didn't see them anymore. I think you were on the boat. You start from there?
Yeah, so after we planed off, Wyatt kept the boat pinned the whole way in. We ran into the mouth of Fort Bayou, where we came from originally. And we turned into Fort Bayou, went in the channel, ran probably 500, 600 yards into Fort Bayou. Wyatt had jumped out of the boat, put the plug back in the boat so access water. So water didn't keep pushing and filling back the boat.
According to their own words, they went into the mouth and then they turned and they went about 500-600 feet. Now, mind you, The party house is right around, but they go past it and then loop back around. However, Warren just admitted that at some point they had to stop and Wyatt jumped in. Even then, you heard him stuttering over the story. Like, it wasn't a smooth transition because I think they dropped her off. Which would explain why they would go back to this party, because obviously they can't cancel the party. That looks really suspicious. Then my theory has always been that the guys all like broke off and like talked to the parents about what was going on, and that's when they formulated their whole we'll call her and then we'll call the Coast Guard plan. Remember, she is related somehow, I can't figure out, but she is related through marriage to the lieutenant that wrote up the very initial report we've seen. Because remember how Morgan claimed that the picture of the boat stuff was circulating around Snapchat and stuff, even though Christine didn't post it to her Facebook page until the next day. Listen to this.
His mom was, what was he wearing? And so we were trying to remember what color his shorts were. We couldn't quite figure that out.
I said black.
Yeah, I think we said black.
I really did. He was wearing navy blue.
Yeah, it was like dark blue shorts.
Dark. I just said black because I was trying to piece everything together and help out.
And so at this point, we're freaking out. We don't know where our friend's at. And the girl that took the picture, she was like, okay, well, I just took this picture of today. This is what color swim trunks he was wearing. And his mom asked for that to post on Facebook to say, if you've seen him, whatever, this is what he was wearing.
So remember, the girl who took the picture with the digital camera was on Wyatt's boat at the beginning of the day and then was there with them at night when they were having this discussion. So she had to have been there at the beginning and at the party at the very least. And we remembered that the original shorts picture, well, that wasn't the color of his shorts, as we now know. But we also know for a fact that this picture did not get sent to Christine until July 5th, meaning that they had to have had that picture and then not sent it to her for hours. Because they also said this.
And so that's what we sent her, or that's what she sent her, because we were just trying.
So they corrected themselves. He said, we sent it. No, she sent it. And on July 5th, Christine said that they have been up for almost 48 hours straight. And then the very next post above it are the same pictures, but better quality. Why did it take so long to get these pictures to them? Oh, and y'all, now that I said that, I realize, so all of these pictures had to come from the same digital camera, right? Meaning this picture did as well. And since I've already proven that this picture had used AI to do something weird because, you know, there was no little bar here, only explanation for using AI on just this little part would be to obscure the reflection that was in this pole of the person who was taking the video. Or the pictures. Oh my God, yes. That makes sense. Love it when I figure that stuff out in real time for you on camera. So it makes sense to me that this photo video thing was altered to cover up this girl's swimsuit. Because let's face it, this swimsuit is the ugliest thing. It has like supposedly like sleeves and it's a tankini, but it goes like in a weird cut, but it's ugly. It's ugly and it's clearly not what these debutante beauty queen girls are wearing to a 4th of July beach party. So I'm like 70% sure that this is Ava. Oh wait, oh my God. Wait a second. I've shown y'all guys before that there's 4 boats out here, this little cluster, right? But I'm looking at these weird pink lumps and stuff at the front of the boat, Bart's boat here. Is that a pile of life vests? Because I'm realizing there's not 20, 30 people on all of these boats. Like, I'm seeing 10, 12 people here tops. Let's not forget what a full house looks like on these boats. Because even in this video at the meetup place, there's not 20, 30 people getting ready to get on these boats. I mean, the boat left at 9:56, according to the GPS. We got like 7, 8 people here, like 6 people here. And also, if they were legitimately needing to be towed and they were trying to get the water to run off, why are they all spread out on the boat? Why are they on the boat in general? Why didn't they just get off on land or get on another boat? Trying to get the boat to tip up and go planing, why do you have over half the boat on the front of the boat? These are experienced fucking fishermen. They know that better than that. Yeah, I can't believe I've never thought of that before. If the boat was sinking, why are they even on the fucking boat? Yeah, and if it was so common and so easy to get, you know, rides back with other people, you know, strangers on Horn Island, why did they need to load everybody on the boat? Why were they...
Okay, Nolan Wells, the 60-minute gap, that changes everything. I need you to really hear that title. Not just read it, hear it. Because every single word in it is doing work. Is there an arrests coming? That's not clickbait. That's a question with a grand jury behind it. The 60-minute gap, that's not a theory. That's a documented hole in a verified timeline. And changes everything. By the time this video is done, you'll understand exactly why I chose those words. This case goes deep. Deeper than what you've seen on social media. Deeper than the headlines. We're talking about forensic audio. 2 autopsies. A contested phone. Oceanic engineering experts. Federal involvement. So settle in. Because what follows is not a surface level breakdown. This is the full picture. Evidence first. Facts only. And every second is going to matter. Let's get into it. Before that boat left Horn Island, someone picked up a phone and made a call. Not to 911. To Sea Tow, a private marine towing company. And what was said on that call is one of the most debated pieces of evidence in this entire investigation. The caller said the boat was sinking, said the bilge pump had stopped working, said there were 7 people on board, and they were going down. Now take a look at this for a moment. We're sinking. I don't know. We're going down though. Those are the words from that call. That's the level of panic being described. 7 people. A failing boat, going down. But here's what we know for a fact. That boat did not sink. We already established the GPS timeline in Chapter 1. The boat left Horn Island at 4:31 p.m. It made it to Fort Bayou. It docked at 6:06 p.m. So the boat was sinking. And then, it wasn't. Somehow. Now, to be fair, bilge pump issues are real. Boats experience mechanical problems. A towing company getting a call like that is not unusual on a holiday weekend. That's a fact. But here's what investigators are looking at. The timing of that call, the specific content of what was said, and the background audio underneath the caller's voice. Because Ben Crump's legal team has been very specific about this. They have retained, quote, some of the foremost audio engineering experts to review the Sea Tow call in its entirety. Not just the parts that were released publicly, the whole thing. And that word entirety matters here, because there is already a dispute about what version of that audio is the real one. Okay, stay with me. TMZ released what they described as an enhanced version of the Sea Tow call. They said an independent audio engineer processed the background of the recording, and some people who listen to it believe they can hear phrases in the background. Specific phrases. That raised immediate alarm. But here is where this gets complicated, and I want to be accurate about this. A digital forensics expert who examined the TMZ version found something significant. The TMZ version of that recording is 20 seconds longer than the original, and it carries a different digital fingerprint. Now, if you don't work in forensics, let me explain why that matters. Every digital audio file has what's called metadata. Embedded information that identifies when the file was created, how it was recorded, and whether it has been altered or processed. When you take 2 versions of the same recording and they have different digital fingerprints, that means they are not identical files. One has been changed. And when evidence has been changed, even by something as simple as software enhancement, the chain of custody is broken. Chain of custody is everything in forensics. It is the documented proof that a piece of evidence is original, unaltered, and legally usable. The moment a file is modified, even with the best intentions, its ability to hold up in court becomes a legal question. That's why Crump's team isn't relying on what TMZ released. They're going after the original, the full, unprocessed, verified file. And they're running it through forensic audio specialists using a process called spectral analysis. Here's what that means in plain language. Forensic audio analysts don't just listen to a recording, they pull it apart, layer by layer. They isolate individual frequencies. Background noise gets separated from foreground voices. Ambient sound is stripped away. And what's left is a clean, analyzed breakdown of exactly what was captured in that audio. That's not enhancement for content. That's extraction for evidence. There's a difference. A big one. Now, I'm not here to tell you what's on that call. No one outside of the investigation has heard the complete, verified original. The legal teams haven't finished their analysis, and I'm not going to speculate about what may or may not be in the background of a recording that is still being examined. What I will tell you is this. Both sides want that audio. The family's legal team has hired experts specifically for it. And whatever is on the full original CTO recording is significant enough that it is part of the active investigation. So let's go back to the core contradiction. The call says the boat was sinking. The GPS says it made it home. 7 people reportedly were on board. The boat is operational by 4:31 p.m. and Nolan Wells is not on it. Those two things, that call and that GPS data, sit right in the middle of the 60-minute gap we talked about in Chapter 1. Right in the middle of it. The audio experts are still working. The full investigation is still active, but the CTO call is not background noise in this case. It is a primary piece of evidence, and it is contested. The call says the boat was sinking. The GPS says it made it home, but there's something else they brought home with them. Something that might matter more than the call, more than the GPS, his phone. Let's talk about the explanation, because the friends did give one. They said the group had a habit. When they went to the island, they would leave their phones on the boat dash. That way, the phones don't get wet, don't get sandy, don't get damaged. That's why Nolan's phone was on the boat. That's the explanation. Okay, now let's talk about why that explanation hasn't closed the case. Because Nolan's family is not satisfied with it. They have publicly questioned the accounts of his final hours, including the explanation about why his phone traveled back to the mainland while Nolan allegedly stayed on the island. And here's the thing, that phone didn't just sit in a drawer after they got home. Nolan's parents tracked it. They followed the location data. That phone led them to a friend's house. Now, the family has been in possession of Nolan's phone since this investigation began, and both sides, the DA's office and the family's legal team, agreed to a joint forensic examination of that device. That agreement was reached nearly a month before this video. The examination still has not happened. Let me be clear about that. Nearly a month. Both sides agreed, experts are lined up. And that phone has not been examined. Here's why. The two sides cannot agree on the terms, specifically how the device should be handled, and who should be present when it is analyzed. The DA's office sent a letter to the family giving them 48 hours to turn the phone over. The family's legal team called that approach not a good faith path to answers. Crump's team responded publicly. They said they are ready to make the phone immediately available. Their forensic experts are on standby. They told the DA's office, pick any day this week. Give us 12 hours notice. We will be there. Now, I want you to sit with that for a second. The family is offering 12 hours notice any day. Their experts are ready, and still no examination. What is the holdup? That's not a rhetorical question. That is the actual legal dispute happening right now. And until that phone gets examined, under agreed, verified conditions, its contents remain unknown to the public and potentially to the investigation. So let's talk about what that phone could actually hold, because I think some people underestimate how much a phone knows. When forensic examiners get access to a device, they don't just look at what's visible on the screen, they go deeper. They pull GPS location history. Every place that phone traveled. On July 4th, Every coordinate, every timestamp. They pull call records, cross-referenced with tower pings. That means they can tell which cell tower the phone was connecting to at any given moment. Even if a call wasn't made. Even if the phone was just sitting in someone's pocket. The tower logs its presence. They recover deleted messages. People think deleting a text makes it disappear. It doesn't. Not from a forensic examination. The data is still in the phone's memory until it gets overwritten, and on a phone that's been in careful custody, that data may still be recoverable. They pull app activity logs, every app that opened, every app that sent data, photo metadata. Every photo taken on that phone carries invisible information, the exact time it was taken, the GPS coordinates of where it was taken, even if the photo itself was deleted. Now think about what that means for this case. We established in Chapter 1 that there is a material gap in the timeline, roughly 90 minutes between Nolan's last confirmed sighting and the boat's departure. That phone was on that island, or it was on that boat. Either way, it was there, and wherever it was logging data. Tower pings, GPS coordinates, app activity. A forensic examination of that device could place it with timestamp precision at a specific location during that 90-minute gap. It could confirm the explanation the friends gave, or it could raise more questions. That's exactly why this examination matters, and exactly why the terms of how it happens are being fought over. Now, I want to ask you directly, what do you guys think is on that phone? And more importantly, why has it taken 6 weeks to look at it? Drop your theory in the comments. I read them, I see them, and the best ones I bring into the follow-up videos. Because here's where the phone fits into the bigger picture. The results of the full death investigation will be turned over to a grand jury once the case is complete, and the cell phone examination, that's part of what gets coordinated before those results go anywhere. This phone is not a side detail. It is a piece of evidence that sits directly inside the 60-minute gap, and it has not been examined. 6 weeks. We're exactly halfway through this, and I haven't even gotten to the autopsy yet. Here's why that matters to you right now. A grand jury could convene in under 30 days. When it does, I'm going to be the first one here breaking down exactly what gets presented. If you're not subscribed, you're going to miss that video. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, because this case is about to move fast, and you don't want to be catching up. An undetermined cause of death, a throat the independent pathologist couldn't access, and a sealed autopsy that only the grand jury gets to see. Undetermined, that's the word. Not drowning, not accidental, not natural causes. Undetermined. The independent autopsy commissioned by Nolan's family came back with one finding. The cause and manner of death cannot be determined, pending further investigation. Now, before we go further, let's separate the two autopsies, because there are two, and they are very different in what they tell us. The first autopsy was performed by the state. The Mississippi State Medical Examiner's Office conducted that examination on July 7th, 3 days after Nolan's body was found. That report is done, but you cannot read it. The DA's office confirmed it will not be released publicly. It goes directly to the grand jury. Now, I want to be straight with you about that, because some people hear sealed autopsy and they assume the worst. Here's the reality. The DA's office was direct about this. In Jackson County, every death except natural causes and non-criminal car accidents goes before the grand jury. Every single one. That's standard procedure in that county. It is not on its own an indicator that a crime occurred. That's a fact, and it's important to state it fairly. But here's also a fact. Nobody outside of that investigation knows what the state autopsy says. Not the family, not the public, not us. So the family did what families do when they don't have answers. They commissioned their own. Forensic pathologist Dr. Roger A. Mitchell performed the independent autopsy. The examination was funded by former NFL star Colin Kaepernick. Dr. Mitchell's preliminary findings could not determine a cause of death. The manner of death also undetermined. But the report didn't come back empty. There was a finding, a specific documented finding. Red discoloration in the soft tissue on the back of Wells's head. Dr. Mitchell flagged that, said it warranted further investigation. That's not a conclusion. That's a pathologist saying this needs a closer look. And then there's the part of the independent autopsy that raises the biggest questions. Dr. Mitchell was not able to inspect Wells's throat and larynx. Read that again. The independent pathologist requested access to the throat, and it wasn't available. The report notes those structures may have been retained for additional investigation. Now, I want to explain why that matters, because if you're not familiar with forensic pathology, this detail might not register right away, but it should. Inside the human throat, there are two specific structures that forensic pathologists look at very carefully: the hyoid bone and the thyroid cartilage. The hyoid bone is a small U-shaped bone located at the base of the tongue. The thyroid cartilage forms the structure of the voice box. Here's why these matter. These structures are fragile. They can fracture or show damage under specific types of pressure or force. Examining their condition is a standard part of a thorough autopsy when the cause of death is unclear. Dr. Mitchell wanted to examine them. He couldn't, because they were being held separately, presumably for additional examination by someone else. Who has them? What has that examination found? Those answers are not public. What is public is that the independent pathologist was working with an incomplete picture. He said so himself. The report acknowledges the limitation directly. So right now, we have a state autopsy that is sealed, an independent autopsy that is undetermined and incomplete, and a specific anatomical finding still being examined outside of public view. That's where the forensic record stands. Now, let's add one more layer, because it's not just the autopsies. Raising questions. It's where the body was found. Crump's legal team has brought in oceanic engineering experts. Their job is to analyze one specific question. Nolan's body was recovered near the northwestern tip of Horn Island, which is near the area where he was last seen. In open water, currents move things. Tides shift position. Over the course of 2 days in Gulf Coast waters, a body in the water does not typically stay in one place. The oceanic engineers are working to determine what the tides and weather conditions were doing between July 4th and July 6th, and whether those conditions could explain why the body was found, where it was found. This isn't speculation. This is physics. Water movement is calculable. Tide patterns are documented. And if the science says the body should have moved and it didn't, that's a finding. We're waiting on those results. They haven't been released, but Crump's team commissioned the work, and it's part of the broader picture heading toward the grand jury. 2 autopsies, one sealed, one inconclusive, a throat that couldn't be examined, a finding on the back of the head that needs a closer look, and a body found right where it started. An undetermined autopsy, a throat they couldn't examine, a body found right where they said they left him, even though the tides should have moved it. And now, everybody's lawyering up. Something shifted in this case. Not slowly, fast. When a story stays local, it gets handled locally. When it goes national, the rules change. And this case is not local anymore. Let's talk about the weight that has landed on this investigation, because it is significant, and it is building from multiple directions at once. August 17th. The NOPS Office of General Counsel officially joined the legal team representing Nolan Wells' family. That's not a press release. That's a legal organization with investigative resources and lawyers embedding directly into this case. Their general counsel stated they will bring, quote, additional investigative and legal resources to bear and ensure that no stone is left unturned. That's a commitment, not a statement of support. A commitment to dig, and it doesn't stop there. The Congressional Black Caucus has formally asked the United States Department of Justice to conduct an independent federal review of Nolan's death. The DOJ confirmed they received that request, and they are reviewing it. Let me put that in plain language. Members of the United States Congress have formally asked the federal government to step into a local investigation on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. That doesn't happen for every case. That happens when the pressure at the local level isn't producing answers fast enough. Now, on the legal side, attorney Eric Hertz, one of the family's lawyers, told NPR directly he believes this case could go before a grand jury in under 30 days. He said that's based on the evidence timeline he has seen. He did not say who might be the subject of that grand jury review. That is important to note. A grand jury review is not a charge. It is not a conviction. It is a process. But here's a detail that tells you something about where this is heading. Several of Wells's friends have retained high-profile attorneys, not because they've been charged with anything, because they are preparing for potential wrongful death suits. And some are reportedly prepared to file defamation suits in response to online accusations. People are lawyering up on multiple sides. That's not nothing. Now, there's one more development I need to address, and I want to be clear about what it is and what it isn't. 3 people have been federally charged in connection with this case. 3 separate incidents, 3 sets of charges, but none of these individuals are accused of having anything to do with Nolan's death. These are federal charges for threatening communications, threats directed at witnesses, threats directed at agencies, threats directed at a judge connected to this case. One individual charged was Edward James Porter, accused of transmitting threatening communications in interstate commerce. An Ohio woman allegedly called in bomb threats to the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. These are serious federal charges, and law enforcement has been clear. State, federal, and local agencies are taking every threat seriously. But I want to say this directly. Threatening people connected to this investigation does not help Nolan's family. It muddies the water. It shifts focus away from the evidence, and it gives critics a reason to dismiss the legitimate legal work being done on this family's behalf. The evidence is strong enough to stand on its own. It doesn't need that. Now, one more piece, and this one is interesting. 2 of Wells's friends, who were reportedly on Horn Island that day, returned to the island. Their attorneys told CNN they went back to, quote, investigate the layout and dynamic. Both individuals have legal representation. Their attorneys accompanied them. This was not a casual trip. It was a deliberate, legally supervised return to the location at the center of this investigation. What they found there has not been publicly disclosed. That's where this case stands. Right now, tonight. So let me bring it all the way back. 5 questions. 5 things this investigation still cannot answer publicly. 1. What happened in the 60-minute gap between Nolan's last confirmed sighting at 3 p.m. and the boat leaving at 4:31? That window still has no verified account. 2. Why hasn't that phone been forensically examined? 6 weeks. An agreement, experts on standby, and still no examination. 3. Why couldn't the independent pathologist access the throat? Those structures were retained separately. By whom? For what examination? No public answer. 4. Why was the body found where the tides shouldn't have left it? The oceanic engineers are working on that. Results not yet released. 5. What is in the sealed state autopsy? The one that only the grand jury gets to see. The one that has been done for weeks. But nobody outside that investigation has read. 5 questions. No public answers. And here is what we know for certain. No one has been charged in connection with Nolan's death. No official determination of homicide has been made. Authorities have not announced evidence establishing that a crime occurred. But a grand jury is coming. The DOJ is reviewing a federal request. The knock is embedded in the legal team. The phone still needs to be examined. The oceanic engineers are still working. And the sealed autopsy sits in a file, waiting for 12 people in a jury room to open it. The legal pressure, the political pressure, the forensic pressure, all of it closing in from every direction. At the same time, Nolan Wells was 18 years old. He got on a boat on the 4th of July. He never came home. And this case is nowhere near over. That grand jury could convene any day now. When it does, I will be the first one here breaking down exactly what gets presented. The sealed autopsy results, the phone forensics, every new development as it happens. Subscribe right now. Hit the bell, because when this case breaks open, you're going to want to already be here. This is DAV Crime Records. And we are not done with this one.